All right, everybody, now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, the incredibly talented Don Most. Hello and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to be here with you guys.
Going to be a lot of fun. Let me introduce you to everybody, starting off with my cool, outrageous man about town co-host, Mr. Ron Russell.
Who I just said to you blew me away with that voice. I mean, that voice is beyond professional. Where were you hiding it all these years?
You know, it's a good question. I was actually singing before I was acting, and I did it when I was pretty young. I was in a nightclub act in the Catskill Mountains when I was 15 years old singing. So, and then I kind of switched gears and put it aside and really got into acting, always knowing that one day I'd want to return to the music. And I don't know why it took me this long, because it was my first love. And as you can tell, it was not something I just sort of said, hey, I'm going to try this. I mean, it was a passion of mine.
I love it.
Well, your passion is terrific. Now you talk.
Hang on. We got to introduce him to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Introduced yet. We got to introduce him to the man.
He does this to me every week.
That's because he doesn't remember that he has to go. He has to go.
One day
we've got the man. We've got the man behind the boards, Mr. Chad Murphy.
Donnie Most, welcome to the show. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you very much.
And we have a chat room full of people, and literally the chat room is represented by the UK, Belgium, Estonia, France, Germany. Like, there's people from all over the place. So just say hi to everybody in the chat room.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here with you. And
And you froze.
And he froze.
And you froze naturally.
Oh, he froze.
He's back.
There we go. He's back.
Okay, you're back. Yeah, he's back.
I'm back. I was just saying I'm so happy to be with everybody.
There you go. Works perfect.
You've got better than 4.5 million people watching you all over the world. So
wow.
I don't want you to think you're on some little crackerjack show.
So you guys know everybody. First of all,
let me finish my question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You mentioned the Catskill Mountains, which I call the Jewish Alps. Now,
Right.
did you play all the clubs? Because I did. I played them back in the early 1960s.
Yeah, I was there in 1968, the summer of '68, and played all of. The only one we didn't get in was the Concorde, but otherwise we played every single one of them. The Granite, Grossingers, Neville, Tamarack, Browns, Kutchers.
I played them all too. Now listen, you must know what knockers are.
I think so.
No, I don't mean those knockers.
Oh.
I mean when you play the Alps, the Jewish Alps, there were knockers on the table.
Oh.
I
don't remember that.
The wooden knockers, they look like mallets.
Oh.
Because the women had so many diamond rings on and bracelets, they couldn't applaud. They killed them. No, they slit their wrists with the diamonds. So they gave you knockers that you banged on the table.
Wow, it's funny. I forgot about it, or maybe they were doing it by the late '60s. I don't know.
Well, I was early '60s because in my line of joke, I used to say, "Don't forget to grab those knockers," and it was a good double entendre joke of the day. But yes, I listened to your song, and I must tell you, you have an absolutely fabulous voice. Simply because to sing the music of my day, you had to sing. You had to hold a note. Yes. Today, they cover up with all kinds of instruments that make them sound great. But when you sing open mic, as you sound like you do, there's no instrumentation in there. There's no baloney. I certainly want your album.
We have a bunch of it.
Free, though. I don't want to pay for it.
Well, I'll see. I could probably get you one.
No, Jimmy said we have it.
We have some of the songs. Hold on, though.
Wait, hang on, Jimmy. Then you're going to have the show. Did you autograph the album for us?
No, we don't have it like that. We get it through emails.
There's no more albums. Don't you hate that?
No, I'll get a real CD and autograph it and send it. The whole thing.
Please do. I would be so thrilled.
It's called Mostly Swinging.
I love the name, first of all. I love the name, you guys.
Now, who are you singing in there? Any Cole Porter?
I'm seeing so many of the great lyricists and composers of the day. I'm trying to think. I don't think I covered Cole Porter on the CD. In my show, I do. I do some Cole Porter.
What do you do? What Cole do you do?
But I have, there's Irving Berlin and Harold Arlen and Johnny Mercer and Sammy Kahn and Jimmy Van Heusen and Rodgers and Hart. So
all the greats.
All the greats. Yeah.
I have to say, first of all, because we have a chat room full of people, and we have a very good friend. He's Emperor Drew on Twitter, but he's just saying that he can't believe that you're on and that you look amazing. Love to you, and thanks for all the wonderful memories. You're such a big part of life, and everybody's talking about your smile. And there's a lot of people in there. They're all talking about your smile and how great your smile is. So you have brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. For anybody listening, if you're not sure who Don Most is by Don Most, even though you should because he's had a phenomenal
career. And he
career.
looks absolutely the same.
You look the same.
I mean, you could tell. I would recognize him in the street in a minute.
Actually, somebody in London too is somebody in London saying that you would play very well there. Hannah Clive, who's an artist who comes in the chat room a lot. But you guys, he was Ralph Malph on Happy Days. We played the Happy Days theme while we were like calling to get you in. And I know you get maybe that's a pigeonhole thing or whatever, but because you've done so many great things besides just Happy Days. But Happy Days is such a big staple for my generation. You know, it was on TV for a long time. You know, and you were such a big part of it. So we are very excited and happy to have you.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little. So first of all, because you were in a band on Happy Days,
right?
Like, so were you really singing or not?
I hope.
Oh yeah. We were singing, but the thing is that I didn't really get to do much of the singing, and you know, it's a long story, but basically, Anson Williams, who played Potsy, he had a musical theater background, and he talked to Gary Marshall, our great creator and exec producer, early on, and said, you know, you're doing a show about the 50s. You got the girls in the poodle skirts. You got the great cars, the drive-in, but what you need is the music, a band, and we could form a band and play in Arnold's. And Gary said, so what are you doing? He goes, well, I could sing. So did an episode, and it went really well. And so then they started doing more of it, and then I was, since I had that singing background, I decided, well, wait a minute, why don't I get a chance? Because all I was doing was playing piano and singing backup, you know?
Right.
So I set up a meeting with Gary and tried to convince him that I should be doing some, but Gary would have none of it because he had already established Potsy as a singer, and he didn't want to mess with that, you know? So I never really got to, yeah, there were a couple of episodes where they had novelty numbers that we all did, and I did one or two. But it was frustrating because, you know, I had the singing background, although the music that I really loved, I mean, I liked a lot of the 50s music, but the stuff that I love is the standards, the jazz standards at Sinatra and Nat King Cole and Bobby Darin and Dino and Tony, you know, Tony Bennett.
Hey, Johnny Mathis, Peggy
Johnny
Lee.
Mathis.
Let's not forget the greatest of great.
Those are his two favorites.
Nobody sang like Peggy Lee or Johnny Mathis. Johnny Mathis to date is the greatest singer ever. Like I always say, the reason that Johnny did not get the fame he should was because he was black. If Johnny was today, he would be flying.
Yeah, Johnny was fantastic. There's no doubt about it.
He is the greatest singer ever in the history of song.
Well, you know, that could be a debatable point, but he's certainly up there.
No, Sinatra never held notes. Sinatra went through his nose and throat. Johnny was a violin. When Johnny held a note, it was clean and pure and magnificent.
Actually, though,
beautiful singer, no doubt about it.
On your side there, Don.
And still alive and still packing the houses.
On your side, though, they say that if record sales would have been recorded back in the day, that Frank Sinatra and Johnny Mathis are the two highest selling records, would be the two highest.
Wow.
They both hit around 360 million, which is more than anybody today.
Amazing.
So those are, but they do say Frank Sinatra sold a little bit more than Johnny
Only
Mathis.
Because of the color issue.
Okay, that's okay. But, he loves Johnny Mathis.
No. The South, Johnny, I know Johnny. And the South did not appreciate Johnny Mathis. Many of the people that lived in the South said, get that you-know-what, that N off the radio.
What a shame. That's so
shame.
Just
Lena
not
Horne,
right. Just no right on so many levels. But
Lena Horne did the same thing with Lena Horne.
Yeah,
I believe she was the one that swam in a pool in Miami Beach. The next day they emptied the pool and scrubbed it and refilled it.
Yeah, oh my God.
Oh yeah. We had a lot of issues back in those days.
Actually,
with great talent.
Okay, let's go though. I want to go acting and then I want to come back to music.
Okay,
let's go acting a little bit and come back. First of all, I want to say because I didn't know that you had been you haven't really stopped working ever. It doesn't seem like, and I didn't really know that. You know, I saw you on Twitter and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, like how cool. And I'm a huge Glee fan, and so I had seen you on Glee, and we had Coach Beast on, we had a whole bunch of people from Glee come on the show. And it was to me, Glee was like such a great show and everything, and that's kind of what got me into like, oh, I wonder what's going on. And then when I went and looked you up, I was like, oh my God, he hasn't stopped doing things. You know, you did a bunch of episodes you were on the Bold and Beautiful, Bones, Men of a Certain Age, Ed TV, Star Trek Voyager, Diagnosis Murder. I mean, over your career, you really haven't stopped working, and I heard you're also directing movies now.
Yeah, I actually started. My first one was back in 1999, an independent film, a really lovely film called The Last Best Sunday. And then I did a film called Moolah, Moola, as in the moolah.
Money.
We'll take it.
And that was done in around 2007. Great, really fun movie. And then I did a family film, a sweet family film called Harley's Hill. And I have a bunch of film projects that I'm trying to get going now. So I want to get behind the camera again and stay in front. I mean, I just did a play, The Sunshine Boys, which
Terrific.
I had a great time doing it with a wonderful actor, Robert Wall. And so I loved being back on the boards and hopefully going to be doing more TV and film and directing and acting and the music, of course.
You know, the music is fabulous.
How are you at remembering your lines on the boards?
Yeah, well, I was always pretty good with that. It's getting a little tougher these days. You know, I don't think it's quite as sharp as it was. But I handled it. Actually, they were telling me the stage manager was very complimentary because I got my lines down very quickly and earlier than they had expected. So, but there were a lot in that play. Boy, Neil Simon.
Lots and lots of lines.
Lots of lines. Wonderful, wonderful dialogue.
And fast comebacks.
Oh yeah, you have the pace.
Don't give you a chance to think of what your line is. You have to know it by the heart.
Oh yeah, you have to be on top of it for sure. But
I was offered a two-man play, and I had to turn it down because it was nonstop dialogue, and I studied the first pages, and then 2 minutes later they were gone. No, I'm 77 years old, and there's, Jane Russell was my best friend. We hung out a lot, and I used to tell Jane Russell, Jane, why don't we could get you on TV. We could do a lot for you. And she'd say, Ron, leave me alone. I can't remember lines. I said, but they'll put a hearing aid in you, and they'll give you the lines. And she said, you're crazy.
So you've done all these great things. Let's say you had a bucket list, because like I was looking, and a lot of times I make lists of all the people have worked with that everybody knows that are so famous, but your list is so huge. But like, if you had a bucket list of who you could have made a movie with that you have not had an opportunity to work with yet, who's on your bucket list?
Well, my favorite, my real idol as an actor when I hit those years when I really became a student of film and interested in acting. My absolute favorite was Jack Nicholson, and back then in those days he was doing amazing stuff. So I would have loved to have worked with Nicholson, and also Paul Newman and Dustin Hoffman and De Niro. So all the Pacino, those would have been the top guys. And there's probably another 20 if I really took time to think.
Okay, so how about who would be a good love interest for you? Oh
my God, it's fun. Wow, I'd have to. Well, Marilyn. I mean, come on, Marilyn. I have a beautiful print of Marilyn right there. I was a huge Marilyn Monroe fan.
And did you ever meet her?
Oh no, I wish I had, boy. I wish I had.
So do I.
Yeah.
I spoke often to Jane about Marilyn because they did
Gentlemen for
Blonde.
Right.
And Marilyn, and all Jane said was she was just pathetic. She was a train wreck. She was the sweetest thing. She was the most gullible thing. And Tony Curtis, who I knew very well, he would say Marilyn Monroe was always on her knees. And I thought that was so cruel. People really in the industry don't have what nice to say about Marilyn. And
really?
Yeah, they don't, no.
Ron had a TV show, just to let you know.
Yeah.
He had a TV show in L.A. It was called Set the Record Straight, and he basically just interviewed like the legends, Tony Curtis.
All the
legends of Hollywood.
Yeah. I read about that. Yeah, I saw that. It's fantastic.
And Marilyn Monroe was loved by the public.
Yes.
But the people that worked with her had nothing good to say about her, honestly.
Well, I think, I think she had a lot of insecurities, and then she became very, defensive and I think it's all about, I think it was all about insecurity. I really do. From what I've heard and read.
Terry Moore Terry Moore said to me, she did a film with Marilyn. She said Marilyn came into the set as Norma Jean. Then hours later, she came out as Marilyn Monroe, stood in front of a great big mirror and kept saying, I'm Marilyn Monroe, I'm Marilyn Monroe. She actually became Marilyn Monroe, the character, and then went to work. Isn't that amazing?
It is. That is. That's a real study, boy.
She was never really Marilyn Monroe, the one that you loved. That was her persona.
So you were on, okay, not including Happy Days, but because you were on basically like every staple show, Murder, She Wrote, Love Boat, Chips, everything that was like a staple for my generation.
Right.
You too. Do you have one of them that had like was your favorite one? Like, oh my gosh, it was so much fun being on this show. Was like the coolest. That was a Chips. Like I know I've met Eric Estrada a couple times. Like so, like I like Chips even more after I met him.
Well, Chips was particularly fun for me because I played this like almost like a metal rocker like Alice Cooper or Kiss. I had all the makeup and you wouldn't even known it was me until the scene where I took off the makeup. So that was a fun role. But I really enjoyed doing Glee, the one you mentioned, very much because in some ways the set reminded me of ours in that how terrific and well-oiled the machine it was in terms of the crew and the cast working together. And it was a great set, and so I really enjoyed. And the people that I got to work with were fabulous, so I enjoyed that a lot. They were, it was a trip. It was a trip doing Star Trek Voyager because I had been a Star Trek fan as a kid, so getting to do that was a little bit of a fantasy. But then there's the things like independent films that I got to do, where I did a film, my first one called Crazy Mama. And it was starring Cloris Leachman, who I loved Cloris.
Oh, he's interviewed her.
Yeah, and I love Cloris too. She's crazy as a loon, but wonderful.
Wonderful.
I interviewed Cloris 3 times, but I saw that film.
Yeah, and that was directed.
I saw it. It was very good.
It's very good. It was a Roger Corman film, but it was directed, and it was only his second film. It was directed by Jonathan Demme, who did Silence of the Lambs and Philadelphia.
It was a high-quality film. It wasn't one of these cheesy, shitty, horror films. It was very good.
We make a lot of independent films, but like the ones that you would never want to see.
No, you'd never. The films I've been in, you don't want to see. But Cloris Leachman is a right. Can I do a quick Cloris story?
Sure.
She was in Florida, and I was interviewing her, and there was a big thing going on in the hallway, in the lobby. And when I got up to Cloris's suite, I said, what's going on? There's all furniture and lamps out in the hallway. And the guy there said, well, we're throwing her out of the hotel. I said, you're kidding. This is Cloris Leachman. He said, I know, but she thought that the furniture was not in lucky positions, so she was emptying the room out to do what's it called?
Feng Shui or something.
Feng Shui, yeah.
And I got Cloris in the elevator for the interview. And I said, I didn't want to, I've never shown it, but I said, Cloris, what the hell is that all about? She said, well, it was unlucky, honey. She said, I had to do it the right. I said, but you put all the furniture in the hallway. She said, well, it was only for overnight.
That's great.
She was wonderful. I love Cloris, and her son.
Her
son is terrific.
She's what a talent and what a lady. Yes.
What a wit. Oh, that one.
Yes.
Oh, she's got a wit on her. We had drinks. We had a wonderful time.
She's
a dear of mine. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So now we've got music. I want to go because I want to play a song for everybody so everybody hears it while you're on the air with us.
All right.
So you've got an album, D Mostly Swinging, and Chad.
Hi, Captain.
We're gonna Blue Sky. Out of the 3 songs you sent me, Blue Skies is the one I really thought was like the greatest one. So I thought it'd be fun to listen to it with you on.
Blue Sky.
Yes.
Smiling at me.
Yeah, but
skies.
but it's with a big band and it swings.
So first of all, that's one thing that everybody was commenting when we played the first song, is that it's got such a big band sound. So you're actually playing with the big band. You didn't go in the studio without a big band. This is actually a real big band playing.
Oh yeah. Great LA jazz musicians, and I've done it live with them too. With the 17 pieces. There's nothing I like better than singing with a great big band behind me.
I love it.
If I'm not incorrect, Martha Raye sang Blue Skies in one of those 1945 war movies.
Probably.
It was Martha Raye's song, Blue Skies, Smiling at Me.
A lot of people did it. Dinah Washington did it.
Yeah.
Oh, God, so many.
So, Chad, do you have it?
We got it ready to go, Jimbo.
Okay, so you introduce it for us, Mr. Most. You introduce the song, and then we're going to play it for everybody, and we'll come back and talk after it plays.
All right, well, this is a song written way back in 1926 by the great Irving Berlin, and it'll last. It's one of those things that stand the test of time. This is Blue Skies.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds sing a song, nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, my, how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds all day long. I never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, my, how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on, from now on, from now on. Those blue skies.
There you go, Blue Skies.
All right, everybody, so that was Blue Skies by Don Most off of the hit D Most, Mostly Swingin'. It's a standard swing big band album, and everybody loves it. The chat room loves it. I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy all of it. The dog is like just totally like getting all over me. This is our rescue, by the way. Her name is Brandy.
Brandy.
And the reason why we keep her here, she eats the rugs if we don't do this.
She eats the rugs in the house if we don't let her sit with us.
We had rescue dogs too. My wife and I and our kids, we always rescued them. Yeah.
We have two of them, and this one just eats things totally.
So if she's ignored, a typical female, typical woman, you ignore her, she chews rug.
So even though we couldn't hear Blue Skies, everyone else was able to hear it.
Yes,
right?
everyone else heard it, and everyone else loved it. I'm getting great version of the song. Everybody loves it. Again, you guys, so the album is available basically on all the digital download sites, right?
Yeah, iTunes and Amazon. You know, they can get the CD itself on Amazon also.
I also noticed you've been playing a lot. I'm bringing this up because we've been there a couple of times, but you played at 54 Below.
Yeah, I've been there 4 times.
Oh, when you go back, listen to me, or else you're in trouble. You fucking call me. I will be there. I will never miss your singing. You sing like I remember years ago, my day of youth. I will be there, Donnie. Please.
I'll definitely let you know. Maybe you could play at the end of this the one that you liked. I Got It Bad and That Ain't Good. See if you could play that on the backside of this. Maybe.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I'm making you a promise. Saturday we're driving. We're in Pennsylvania. It's Philadelphia.
Philly.
Yeah. So Saturday we're driving into Manhattan, and I promise you, your album will be playing the whole drive-in. because I love your voice. I'm amazed at your voice because who would ever think that you, of all people,
I know
could have such a voice?
That's what I'm. It's a little bit of you have to. There's the great things about what Happy Days did for me, but then it's a double-edged sword where you have to fight people's preconceptions and all that. And I'm very different than the character I played, and it's been always a bit of a hurdle. And the music, people do not expect this. But when they come to my shows, I'm doing a show out here in L.A. at Vibratos next month, and I was just at the Metropolitan Room in New York not too long ago as well.
Oh, we saw Kathy Sledge there. She came to the show, and then we went to see her.
I'm going to kill you that we didn't have you on our show sooner.
Yeah, well, it wasn't my fault.
Listen, Donnie, I starve for our music. I starve for it. I do.
It's the greatest.
I miss it so much. I miss our music and your voice.
Well, there's a lot. There are other people, some great people doing it, with obviously Diana Krall and Michael Bublé and
Michael, we know Michael Bublé.
Yeah, and Steve Tyrell is doing the standards. He's really good. I enjoy seeing him and listening to him. And a lot of people, Rod Stewart has done 5 albums of standards.
Please.
He doesn't like that one. He likes all those other ones. He doesn't like that one.
He insulted every single standard song with that horrible, gurgling, rough, nothing voice.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is what I do. I critique.
Right, I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm sorry.
He can't hold a note.
I actually like it.
My friend, have sort of a baritone, rough, kind of a gruffy, strong, powerful, and then you go to a high note. You modulate. These morons, they don't know what modulating is. They put the microphone down their throats and they sing.
You want to hear some modulating? I do Clementine, which was Darren's, and like I do Mac the Knife. The song modulates 6 times. It changes keys 6 times in the song.
Love it. I used to sing to a lot of I'm a singer also years ago. Now my voice is gone with the wind. The pipes don't work like they used to.
Yeah.
How old, may I ask, you are?
I'm 64.
And you still have a young voice.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's weird. It's been holding up and sounding in some ways, I think, better than it did when I was younger. So I'm very fortunate in that regard, and I'm praying I can hold on to it for a while.
I think you will.
It's
fantastic.
a gift. But if I didn't know who you were and I heard your voice, I would think you were someone in your 20s, like 27, 28.
Oh, that's great.
How young you. And I know music, as Jimmy will tell you. I know everything about music and what it should sound. Lainie Kazan is a dear friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
Lainie, I went to one of her concerts, and in the middle she stopped. And she said, "Excuse me, the right speaker is not working correctly." And I right in the middle of her performance, she couldn't care less. And then when played, she went like this to the boys. Okay, good, they got it right. So she's another. Lainie is a phenomenal singer.
Yeah, Lainie's great.
And they only think of her from the Fat Freak Wedding, No, Lainie Kazan is one of the best jazz singers there is, and I love it.
We went to the same high school, as did Barbara Streisand, Erasmus Hall.
You're from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. Right. I'm from Brooklyn too.
All right. I went to Erasmus. Yeah.
I was born in Brooklyn, but I went to school on Long Island because we moved.
Oh.
But I was born in Red Hook, Brooklyn in 1940.
Oh, wow.
A long time ago.
So in the chat room, they're saying, number 1, you have a great rich tone. Number 2, Hannah Clive, who's a great singer, we had her on a couple weeks ago. She's a cool indie singer from the UK, and she said she tweeted to Graham Norton's show that they need to bring you over for an interview.
Absolutely.
Oh, great. Well, thank Hannah for me.
She's fabulous.
And you're fun. You're fun.
I said hello to Hannah on Twitter because I saw her write something, so I thanked her. I wrote her. So thank her again.
Everybody in our chat room promotes the show a lot on Twitter, and they're all super fabulous. Give a hi to B too, because B Claudia, she's like going crazy about how fabulous you are and how you really need to get to Germany. So we'll have to see what we can put together.
Hey, B too. Yeah, let's see what we can get together. My website is donniemose.com, so people could check that out. I have to update it, so there's a lot of great stuff there, but it's not totally updated. But I'll work on it.
And you guys can follow him on Twitter too. He's at most_Don. So you just gotta. But if you plug in Donnie Most, it'll actually come up and show you that anyway. But it's at most_Don. His website is DonnieMost.com. His new album is called D Most, Mostly Swingin'. And if you're in is Herb Alpert's place? Is that in L.A.?
Yeah.
Yeah. Vibrato's. It's Herb Alpert's place. Yes, it's in L.A. It's like it's not too far from like Beverly Hills. It's up there.
It's right
up in the hills.
It's on La Cienega, I think.
No, Beverly Glen.
Beverly Glen.
Yeah.
You know who used to own that studio? Charlie Chaplin. And Jimmy, you wrote about.
Oh yeah, Charlie. I have a book I wrote on Charlie Chaplin and a documentary that
used to be
Charlie
Chaplin Studios, and then Herb Alpert had it in the 60s and 70s.
So you guys, if you're in LA on January 10th, he's gonna Don Most is gonna be playing with his big band. All the great songs that are on his album at Herb Alpert's Vibrato Grill. And where do they get information, Love, like how to get tickets? I saw it on your Twitter.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, misinformation. I thought you were talking about Herb Alpert's studio.
No.
No. It's not a studio. This is a supper club.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful club.
Okay, that was not Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, it's a different location.
I'm talking about the studio that is on La Cienega, and it was Herb Alpert's during the 60s and 70s.
Wow.
But it was
And
built by Charlie Chaplin. In fact, there's a statue. I've been in that studio.
And B. Claudia says, thank you for mentioning her, and she just bought the album on iTunes.
Good. Now I want 10%.
I think she'll enjoy it. There's some ballads on there too. I do Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh, I love that.
What a song.
What a song is right. What lyrics.
Oh my God, the lyrics in that are insanely wonderful.
I did that song in my show.
Oh, yeah, I love that. And I end
my funny Valentine.
That's my other favorite.
Great one. I end my album after all. It's all big band and a ballad with big band, but then as a bonus song, it's me and just the piano to the great saloon song of all time, "One for My Baby" by Harold Arlen and Johnny.
Do you have a "You Want to Kill Yourself" story? Because my "I Want to Kill Myself" story is, I'm driving with Jane Russell through Hollywood.
3 minutes, just so you know.
And I'm telling Jane Russell how much I love Peggy Lee, and I'm going to play her on the radio. She said, "Oh, Peggy's the dearest friend of mine. I know her really well." Peggy had just passed away. I said, "How many years do I know you, Jane? You never told me you knew Peggy Lee." I would have killed to meet Peggy Lee.
Yeah.
And adore her. You know what Jane said to me? "Oh, Ron, she would have loved you." I really wanted to kill myself.
So no.
What's your kill yourself story?
Next time I come on, I'll come up. I have to think about that for a minute. Okay.
Well, is anybody that you really wanted to meet that you admire and love in the music world that you'd never met, like Gershwin or Cole Porter?
Oh, I would have loved to have met Gershwin and Cole, all of those guys, Harold Arlen and Richard Rogers. Would have loved in the music world. I was a huge Darren fan. You talk about holding notes and stuff. If you really, not forget the rock and roll, that was a means to an end for Bobby. But if you really listen to his stuff, I saw him at the Copacabana when I was 18, and let me tell you, he was amazing. And he could hold notes. You'll be amazed if you check out some of his stuff. And I got to meet Bobby very briefly once. I would have loved to have met Nat King Cole and Ella Fitzgerald and on and on. We could spend an hour talking about that.
And you know what the sad part is? In Europe, they revere opera singers for centuries. They know the people that sang 100 years ago. This country is so disposable. These people have been disposed. I do a lot of college things where I talk to the students about, the stars and what Hollywood was in the golden years. And one fellow was looking at me and bewildered. And I speaking about Barbra Streisand. And I looked at the young man. I said, "You know who Barbra Streisand is?" He said, "No, but I've heard of her." And my heart sank because we dismiss. That's why I'm with my dearly departed friend who I love so much from Turner Classic Movies.
We have to go. We're out of time.
I always worked with him to get films. Lauren Bacall said to me, "Ron, a film is not old until after you've seen it." And that's what I try to tell people. Music is not old until after you've heard it.
So everybody listen up. We want you to go out and get D Most, Mostly Swingin'. If you're going to be in L.A. January 10th, go see him at Herb Alpert's Vibrato Grill. You can get information by going to DonnieMost.com or follow him on Twitter and watch his tweets at @Most_Don. We want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, and you're coming back.
Anytime you want to come back,
You're
or anytime you have
coming
anything to promote,
back.
you just let us know. We'll do it. We'd love to have you back, and have a Merry Christmas and a great holiday.
And Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, Happy Hanukkah. Yes.
Too.
Good.
Thank you so much, guys. I enjoyed it.
All right.
Bye, Donnie.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
What a great guy.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We had a great time.
And I behaved. See how I pulled it together?
You made
Absolutely.
Loaded out of my gore, but I pulled it together.
Well
The
done,
show
Ron.
must go on.
I love it, everybody. Thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you next week. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.
Yo, I'm a Liverpool MC. You can't test me. Big up the girls inside the party. Let's get down to crazy Jimmy. Big up myself and known as Alfie, the one and only, the Turkish MC.
Always love the clothes of Jimmy.
British punk, yo, what I wanna be. Jimmy Star's new celebrity.
We'll take you out to Jimmy Stars. He'll dress you right. You'll feel like a star. We'll hook you up. Now you look sexy. Your game is tight. Gonna get laid tonight. You need Jimmy Star. Jimmy Star. You need Jimmy Star. Jimmy Star.
One day I was walking down the street. My mate come up to me and said, "Hey mate, wanna go to a party?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, love? I ain't got no guy."